his father had often advised him. Beauty is in a woman's words as much as in her skin. Eunice moved his eyes to Darsal's horse, but Darsal's horse wasn't where it had been last night. He sat up and looked about. "Where's Darsal?" he demanded, seeing no sign of her. Sylvie gave her saddle cinch one last tug. "I don't know. She was gone when I woke." "Gone?" Eunice jumped to his feet. "What do you mean, gone?" "I mean as in not here. Her tracks lead that way." She nodded at the rising sun. "East. Home." "She just left us?" "Evidently. What did you expect? Kisses in the morning?" "No, but she can't just up and leave." "But she can, and did," Sylvie said, drilling him with her bright blue eyes. "And don't think I'm not considering the same." Eunice felt his heart fall into the pit of his stomach. "Then everything will be lost. You can't." "Why? Because we have to save the world? Find these lost books of yours?" "Forget saving the world," Eunice snapped. "I don't care about saving the world either, believe me, and they're not my books. But by leaving us, Darsal has put herself in terrible trouble. You heard what the Rausch said about Bilos, and he was taken. You don't think the Horde are waiting back there for Darsal?" "I heard what you said the Rausch said about us," Sylvie said, "and it's the only reason I haven't left you myself. But I don't see how going further into the desert is any better than facing the Horde in the canyons. I'd rather die fighting Horde than baking to a crisp in the sun." "We'll find water," Eunice yelled. Sylvie blinked at his outburst. Darsal's voice rang out behind them. "We'd better, Scrapper." She drove her horse down the dune from the south. "Because there's a line of Horde marching toward us from the east." Sylvie flung herself into her saddle, rode up the rise facing east, and studied the horizon. "You're sure?" "Would I be here if I wasn't sure? I don't think they saw me, but we'd better be gone when they get here." She frowned at Eunice. "You satisfied?" "About the Rausch being right about the terrible trouble we would be in if you didn't all follow me, or about the Horde coming our way?" She held his stare long enough for Eunice to wish he hadn't been so clever, then kneed her horse on, heading west. They traveled deeper into the desert, 3 abreast for 2 hours, before drinking and giving the horses some water from their canteens. Twice Darsal had doubled back to see if the Horde were still following. Twice she'd returned, saying they were. They should cut north or south, she insisted. "No, the desert ahead is safer," Eunice argued. "If there were Horde ahead of us, the ones behind wouldn't bring such a large force to drive us forward into a trap, certainly not for just 3 scrappers. Clearly the desert ahead is free of the beasts." "Free of the beasts and any other living thing," Darsal returned, "including us soon. It's not surprising that no one's crossed this blasted dust bowl and survived." "You had your chance to turn back," Sylvie snapped. "Don't make it worse on us by griping all the way." Darsal grunted and plowed reluctantly on. But Sylvie seemed to be coming his way, Eunice thought, or at the very least she wasn't set against him. "I'm sorry for yelling at you this morning," Eunice told her, encouraged by her support. "I had no business being so rude." "Don't think I like this," she said. "I'll head back and kill some of those scabs before I die." She seemed adamant about avenging her mother's death. He felt pity for her, but understood the sentiment. "You must have loved your mother and father very much," he said. Sylvie frowned and turned her head away from him. "Both were lieutenants in the Guard when I was 12, but they couldn't bear to be without me, so they both stepped into the reserves and took time guiding me through my special studies. My mother wasn't supposed to be on duty the day she was killed. It was my fault." "Yours? You were only 12. "You don't understand. The other children mocked me, calling my mother and father cowards for leaving the Guard. I went home and yelled at my mother. I told her I was ashamed of her for deserting the Guard. We argued, and she agreed to take up her sword that very afternoon to prove she was no coward." "And the Horde killed your mother and then your father when he went after her," Eunice said. "I haven't stepped into a classroom since." "I'm sorry. I'd hate to be one of the children who mocked you." She nodded. "There were a few broken noses the next week. We'll leave it at that." He left her alone then, not wanting to risk losing her friendship. The first sign of pain crept into Eunice's bones when the sun was halfway down the western sky. He pulled up and flexed his fingers, surprised by how suddenly the stiffness had set in.